My name is Kara Mueller, and I'm a planner with the Development Assistance Division with the Sustainability and Community Development Department at the City of Lakewood. The purpose of this presentation is to consider case SU24-0002, a request for a special use permit for a fueling station use at 675 Kipling Street. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 2nd at 7 p.m. in the City of Lakewood Council Chambers and online at www.lakewoodspeaks.org. The applicant, Shelby Madrid with Kimberly Horn, is requesting a special use permit to allow a fueling station at 675 Kipling Street. This project is familiar as previously an SUP request was reviewed and denied on January 17, 2024. This request differs from the previous SUP request as it proposes to meet supplemental standards for a fueling station within 1,000 feet of another fueling station by providing a different primary fuel type, electricity, at this proposed fueling station. And although only one of the two supplemental standard provisions to the 1,000-foot spacing requirement must be satisfied to comply with the supplemental standards, Quick Trip also analyzed the traffic conditions based upon feedback it received in its prior SUP application process. Quick Trip's additional analysis provides adequate information that the requisite traffic conditions exist that prevent clear and simple access to Circle K, which is on the opposite side of the same street. The site is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Kipling Street and the 6th Avenue frontage road. The slide presented here depicts the aerial view of the subject location. The site boundary is highlighted in yellow. To the west of the site is a large solar installation. A motel is to the north, and the 6th Avenue frontage road is to the south. There are several office buildings across Kipling Street to the east. The applicant intends to retain an access point to Kipling Street and proposes to lease a portion of state-owned property to the south for a secondary access point to 6th Avenue frontage road. There is an existing fuel station on the opposite side of Kipling Street that is within 1,000 feet. The property is zoned CR Commercial Regional, as indicated by the red on the zoning map below. The property is surrounded by similar CR zoning with mixed-use employment suburban MES across Kipling Street. The slide presented here depicts the 1,000-foot buffer required by the supplemental standards of Article 4 to determine whether the proposed fueling station use is located within 1,000 feet of an existing fueling station use. As you can see, the site of the proposed special use permit is within 1,000 feet of another fueling station use at 722 Kipling Street, which is located on the opposite side of the street. The applicant is proposing electric as the primary fuel type for this fueling station, providing 17 EV chargers, 8 superchargers, and 9 level 2 chargers, and 16 gas pumps, making electricity the primary fuel type. Quick Trip's additional traffic analysis also provides adequate information that the requisite traffic conditions exist that prevent clear and simple access to the Circle K, which is on the opposite side of the same street. This information provides that there is a different fuel type from the fueling station within 1,000 feet on the opposite side of the street, and that there are existing conditions, a yellow stripe median, that prevent clear and simple access to the other fueling station, meeting the required supplemental standards for a fueling station within 1,000 feet of another fueling station. Only one of these provisions is necessary to meet the supplemental standards required for the SUP. The applicant is proposing to redevelop the 2.65-acre site to accommodate a fueling station and restaurant to-go kitchen use. The proposed site development will include the removal of all existing asphalt improvements and the subsequent development of the site in accordance with applicable development standards. The slide presented here depicts the applicant's conceptual land use plan, which includes details such as access points, building and canopy locations, parking, and required public improvements. Specifically, the proposed access points will be a right-in, right-out only at Kipling Street, as the existing raised median, shown in red, will eliminate the ability for left-hand turns. A new decel lane is required for access to the frontage road to the south, as indicated with the red arrow. Plaza space and a pedestrian connection at the northwest corner of the site is proposed to the motel to the north, that is indicated in green. And 17 EV chargers are proposed and 16 gas pumps with canopies as shown here in orange, with the convenience store to-go kitchen facility. Electricity will be the primary fuel source. The applicant requested a special use permit in 2023 for a fueling station at 675 Kipling Street. That was denied by Planning Commission on January 17, 2024. This request was based off meeting the supplemental standard 17.4.3.1 M3B for a fueling station within 1,000 feet of another fueling station. The Planning Commission found that the proposal did not meet the supplemental standard of the Lakewood zoning ordinance, and that evidence had not been demonstrated that the application was consistent with the comprehensive plan. Since the Planning Commission hearing on January 17, 2024, a new formal application for an SUP has been submitted for a fueling station at 675 Kipling Street, proposing electricity as the primary fuel type, meeting the supplemental standard 17.4.3.1 M3A of the Lakewood zoning ordinance, and further information has been provided on compatibility with the comprehensive plan. The new pre-planning application was submitted on May 20th, 2024, followed by a neighborhood meeting on June 18th, 2024, and subsequent formal SUP submittal was submitted on July 11th in 2024. It was recommended by staff, and the applicant submitted an SUP application for a fueling station with electricity as the primary fuel type. There are 17 EV charging stations and 16 gasoline pumps proposed for this fueling station, meeting the supplemental standard 17.4.3.1 M3A of the Lakewood zoning ordinance. As prescribed by Article 2 of the Lakewood zoning ordinance, a special use permit request shall follow the procedure for review and notification as presented here. The review procedure includes a pre-planning application, followed by a required neighborhood meeting to solicit and gather feedback on the proposal from neighbors and community stakeholders, a formal application for the SUP, staff and director review and determination, and a public hearing with the Planning Commission noticed in accordance with Lakewood zoning ordinance standards. A neighborhood meeting was held to introduce the proposal and solicit comments on June 18, 2024. One staff member, 4 applicants, and 10 residents were in attendance. The attendees at the neighborhood meeting voiced concern over the proposed access point to the West 6th Avenue frontage road, vehicles exiting the 6th Avenue westbound off-ramp and crossing over several lanes of traffic to access the 6th Avenue frontage road left turn lane, and overall traffic and safety. Questions about land use and quantity of fueling stations in Lakewood were also voiced. In reviewing the traffic information and accidents since January of 2024, the city will construct an extension of the median south of West 8th Avenue north of this project in the future. A decel lane will be required with the 6th Avenue frontage road access point. However, installing a raised median along Kipling Street between the outside northbound through lane and the northbound receiving lane from the 6th Avenue westbound off-ramp will not be triggered by this development. This slide depicts the special use permit review criteria. It is required that the supplemental standards of Article 4 are satisfied. The applicable dimensional and development standards of Article 5, along with the applicable design standards of Article 7, are satisfied, and that is consistent with the comprehensive plan and other citywide plans, and will not substantially impair the use or development of adjacent property. Electricity will be the primary fuel type, which differs from the existing fueling station within 1,000 feet. Canopies will be provided. Architecture and screening requirements will be met, which is more specifically covered on the next slide. This fueling station will meet the applicable Article 5 and 7 dimensional and development and design standards and all other zoning and regulatory requirements of the city. These will be reviewed for compliance with the major site plan review if the SUP is approved. The proposed fueling station is located to the east of the US 6 Frontage Road Community Activity Area, as defined in the comprehensive plan. Community activity areas are areas identified in the comprehensive plan that have been planned and zoned primarily for higher density employment and retail growth. The existing structures within this area to the west of the subject property are larger buildings with several furniture retailers and motor vehicle dealerships. This fueling station offers a retail, restaurants, convenient component that provides amenities for the surrounding neighborhood and patrons of the larger retailers in the community activity area to the west. The mix of proposed services and site improvements is consistent and complementary with the future land use goals contained in the comprehensive plan. The applicant states that the project will include electric vehicle charging stations. The inclusion of these electric vehicle charging stations supports Goal T2 of the City of Lakewood Sustainability Plan, which is to foster sustainable transportation choices in Lakewood through the objective of promoting alternative fuel vehicles and fuel efficiency. This slide depicts the supplemental standards for a fueling station. Article 4 of the Lakewood Zoning Ordinance sets forth additional supplemental standards for certain uses. These regulations recognize that certain use types have characteristics that require additional controls to protect the public. Staff finds that the applicant has demonstrated that the proposed use depicts conformance to the supplemental standards associated with the fueling station in the CR Zone District. More specifically, the fueling station meets all of the site design requirements of Section 17.7.6.3b and all other requirements of the zone district. That section speaks to pump canopies, landscaping and screening walls, and location of service bay doors. Pump canopies are proposed, and the pump canopies match the architectural style of the convenience store, with the facility in terms of color, facing materials, and roof pitch, as depicted with the conceptual land use plan. A pump canopy shall not exceed 20 feet in height for a parapet roof. Parapet roofs are proposed for these canopies, and they are not exceeding 20 feet in height as depicted with the conceptual land use plan. Landscaping or low screen wall to a minimum of 42 inches and maximum of 48 inches shall be provided on the property adjacent to all public streets in front of the pump canopy, except at access drive locations. This will be required and reviewed with major site plan submittal if the SUP is approved. Service bay doors shall not face adjacent residential zone districts. There are no service bay doors associated with this proposed fueling station. 2, a canopy is provided to shield the fueling islands and fueling operations from precipitation. Again, pump canopies are proposed for both fuel types. And 3, the fueling station may not be located within 1,000 feet of another fueling station unless the primary fuel type provided at the 2 stations is different. The primary fuel type provided at the 2 stations is different. Gas is the primary fuel type at 722 Kipling Street, and electricity is proposed here at 675 Kipling Street to be the primary fuel type. And although only one of these supplemental standard provisions must be met, the applicant has provided additional information to show that they can meet traffic conditions such as a raised median to prevent clear and simple access to a station on the opposite side of the street, as there is a yellow striped median. Notification is required when a formal application for a special use permit is presented to the Planning Commission. Written notice was sent to 46 tenants and owners of property and 5 registered neighborhood organizations. Notice signs were posted on the property. Referral reviews were sent to utility providers in West Metro Fire, and no objections were received. Staff's finding of fact and order are as follows. The applicant is requesting approval of a special use permit. Notice requirements have been satisfied. The request was reviewed by appropriate referral agencies, and the proposed special use meets the applicable review criteria. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the findings of fact and order as presented in the staff report and approve case SU24 20-0002 for a fueling station use at 675 Kipling Street. Thank you for your time. Again, the public hearing will be at 7 p.m. on April 2nd in the council chambers. You may also attend online at www.lakewoodspeaks.org.